We're going live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Playing all the hottest music, yeah.
It's the Bougie Show on SkyHawk Radio.
Welcome to the Bougie Show. I am Zay the DJ. This is SkyHawk Radio. We have guests in the building tonight. Oh, you guys learned from last week, huh? To let me introduce you and not just come in and introduce yourself. You heard me.
We're waiting for you.
Miss Layla Gray is in the building tonight. Miss Paige Alexandra is in the building tonight. Can you ladies hear me? Do I need to turn your levels up? I want to make sure you guys hear me loud and clear. Good and clear. All right. Cool. We also have another special guest in the building. Miss Gray, you want to do the honors?
Yes. Tonight is going to be a great show, everybody, because tonight we're going to switch things up a bit, and we have a special guest in the house. We have entrepreneur, the executive and leadership coach, the public speaker, and the social media enthusiast. Let me know if I'm missing any other titles here. Mr. Benny Salas, also known as That Coaching Guy. What up, Benny?
He's in the building.
Hey.
We gotta hit the horn before we introduce you, sir. That's how it rolls right here on the Bougie side.
You can tell I'm a rookie here, right?
Mr. Salas, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling really good, man. I'm excited to be here with you guys.
All right, that's what's up, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Motivational speaker, Mr. Benny Salas is in the building. That Coaching Guy. Miss Layla Gray, go ahead and start it off with it.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. We're very excited to have you. So, Benny, you wear many hats. Right?
Yes, I do.
Many
hats.
Many hats.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, you're a life coach and a motivational speaker.
Right.
I've never actually met anyone who does this for a living. So tell us in your own words exactly what it is that you do, and take us back to the beginning. How'd you get started? How long you've been doing this? And, what inspired you?
Yeah. So I would say I probably started coaching probably when I was about 18 years old. That's when I really felt like this, call and this push to want to work with people.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I wouldn't call it coaching back then. I don't think coaching was really a big thing back then. It was always just leadership, right? So coaching is more of a more, I would say within the past few years, it's exploded in terms of the market. Now everybody's a coach. So that's a whole other conversation, but we'll leave that one alone. But So I started working with people, really kind of fell in love with I felt like I had something that I was able to connect with people on. Rather it was they were homeless, rather they were drug addicts, rather they were going through some of the toughest times when I was working with at-risk students, whatever the case may be. I always felt like there was a connection. And I said, you know what? I feel like this is what my purpose is in life. And so a lot of what I base my work on is on purpose. You'll look at my Instagram feeds, you'll look at a lot of content that I'm putting out there. I did an interview with South Florida TV, and it was how do you discover your purpose? And that was a big one because I feel like everybody's asking that question. Not just when the beginning of the year comes, but every day of our lives. We wake up and we ask that question. We just don't even realize how often we ask it. And so for me, it's life coaching. And here's how I like to look at it. So when I work with somebody and I'm talking to them about life, leadership, business, it always goes back to how they live their life. It always goes back to their experiences, whatever the case may be. So I don't put myself out there as a life coach, but it always is talking about life. So if you want to call me a life coach, great. You want to call me a leadership coach, don't call me a dance coach, okay?
Don't call you a dance coach.
I mean, I could dance, but I don't dance coach anymore. Knees are a little squeaky, so.
Yeah. Absolutely. You are from Chicago, correct?
Born and raised. 26 years I lived there.
Wow.
With Chicago and things like that, do you think that there are a lack of motivational speakers and inspiring people that maybe would help assist with the the madness and the destruction that's going on within your city?
Yeah, it's so interesting. So I've been about 15 years removed from Chicago.
Okay.
But it was interesting when I went to high school, it was in those areas, and so it was very interesting. We lived. Back in the day, Cabrini Green was up and running.
Okay.
And I don't know if you know about Cabrini Green. Cabrini Green was one of the largest housing projects in all of the U.S.
Okay.
A lot of gangs, a lot of violence. Yeah. So the high school that I went to, a lot of kids would come from that area. And so, there was a deficiency of role models. I mean, it's great when we see guys like Kanye and we see Chance the Rapper and we see all these different people step up and they're giving a positive vibe and a positive message. But I think throughout our society, there's just a lack of role models. There's a lack of people that actually go back. I think it's actually tough when you have people that want to go back, but their message doesn't align with their method.
That's great.
Yeah, you're right. So let's go back to what you were saying about purpose. So they say the two most important days in a person's life is the day they're born and the day that they find out why. And I feel like that's very powerful and it holds so much truth. But I also feel like many people struggle to find the answer to this question. And I was looking at your Instagram and I saw something that you posted about discovering purpose and the 3 ways to discover purpose.
Yeah.
So why don't you elaborate a little for us on that? Because I know one of them is what you were created to do.
Yes.
And there was what you do to create and what you create for others to do.
Yes. So one way that I've looked at this is to ask, so what were you created to do? I think that is always such a bigger question than just, can I do something? It almost begs you to almost look back at your life, and you could almost trace back, like if you were to have a conversation with your parents and sit down. Zay, let me ask you this question. Right. Okay, let me bring it to you. Okay. When did you know this is what you wanted to do?
As far as music, well, the music opened up the door, and then that's what led me to a very young age. Young age, probably middle schoolish, I would say.
Middle school, right?
Yeah.
So do you see the connection? He could go back, and here's the thing. I think oftentimes we try to decide something that actually needs to be discovered. So if he looks back and says, man, if I go deeper, I probably could find traces even younger than that were leading me to where I need to be right now. Mm-hmm. And so, one, he was born to do something. It just took him time to mature to get to the place where he can do it. Right. And that's really all of our conversations, right? Mm-hmm. That there's something that we're doing right now. And here's the thing. When we don't align with that, we could spend years, hours, months, relationships, jobs, energy, education, doing something that does not align with what we were born to do.
So true. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's a shame, because so many people, live their life wondering or wishing that, if they would have really gave it a shot and really went for what they wanted to do on this earth, it's sad, because I've seen a lot of people within my own life that don't follow suit and stick to it and end up not being happy,
Right. Well, yeah, I think there's a lot of people in our world today that, I talk to people all day long. This is what I do, right? This is the number one question. Yeah. Like, what is my purpose? Mm-hmm. Yeah. What am I doing? Yeah. Like, they're not happy. They're making money, but it's bigger than money. Purpose is bigger than money. Because here's the thing. Your money will run out, but your purpose will actually lead you to live your life the rest of the way that you're supposed to. And so money isn't just it. I mean, it's great. I want to make a lot of money. I know everybody here wants to make a lot of money. My goal is to make a lot of money and help a lot of people. Right. Yeah. That's what my mission is now. And finding different ways to do that. But I think there's so many people that don't ever ask this question, or they get to a certain age where they just stop asking because they no longer believe in it. Yes. They've given up on their dreams. Somebody told them along the way, you can't do that, right? A life situation happened, a bad relationship happened, a bad business deal happened, you got fired, whatever the case may be, and people stop dreaming. And so it's such a bigger conversation. Like, I bet you can go through your Rolodex in your mind of people who have potential, right? Mm-hmm. Just think about this. Potential is one of those conversations that you absolutely need to do nothing for in order to see it. So you can see somebody and be like, yo, this Joker's got potential if he can only get his stuff together. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's not doing anything.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right?
Right, absolutely.
But you can see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
You see that they're capable of doing more than they're actually doing.
Right. And that's the conversation that we have often.
And you're saying the potential comes without trying, correct?
Potential comes, well, here's the thing. You don't need to try to see it. You need to try to get it.
Okay.
Say that one more time.
You don't have to try to see it. You have to try to get it. So, for example, I could see it and you not do nothing, but in order for you to experience, you have to go and get it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You have to put your effort behind it. Yeah. And so a lot of people don't do that. They stop there because there's fears, there's worries, there's all these other reasons. I don't have the money. I don't have this. Man, if I stopped with I don't have the money to start my business, I would have never started.
Facts.
Right? Mm-hmm. Like sometimes absolutely. You just got to go off pure hustle. You got to go off pure gut. You just got to go for it. And here's the thing. All of a sudden, everything begins to align itself with you. Mm-hmm. And so purpose is one, is this, what I was born to do. And the second one you said is what was the second one? I'm so stuck into the first one, is what you created to do, right? Mm-hmm. Or what you create for others to do. This idea, so here's, for example, something that is created for you to do. I look at this like a real estate, okay? For example, someone who makes a lot of money in real estate, they didn't create real estate. They found their purpose in it.
Right.
Yeah. there are things out there that are created for us to do, and oftentimes people think that they just have to, it has to come from them. There has to be something that aligns with that, but also there are a lot of things out there in this world that we find purpose in, right?
Do you feel like, this is a Bougie show on SkyHawk Radio. We got Benny Salas, the motivational speaker, that coaching guy in the building tonight with us, along with Miss Layla Gray and Miss Paige Alexandra. My question to you is, do you feel like, I heard somebody state that they measure success based off of how many people they bless. Do you feel that the same way as far as, or you just feel like to each his own?
Well, that depends if that's their definition of success.
Mm-hmm. So right? Your definition of success as far as, because you did say helping people and making people and taking, you know, so do you fall within that same lane or?
I would say that's one way to measure success.
Okay.
I think one way to measure success for me is to be a great father.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Is that success or is that your duty? Because once you have a child, it is your responsibility
it's
to
my
be
responsibility.
a parent.
Absolutely. It's both my duty, and guess what? The legacy that I leave with my son will determine the success that I've actually invested in his life.
Yeah. Not everyone is a successful parent.
Right. Oh no,
there's a lot of parents. There's not a lot of fathers.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. I heard Ice-T. He was saying that this is the Bougie show on SkyHawk Radio. Ice-T was saying that he didn't care about how much money he made. He wanted to make sure that when his son walked down the street, that somebody could be like, that's Ice-T's kid, and treat him with respect. And you know what I mean? And just give him a pass. Whether you see him walking down the street, hey, man, you need a ride. No, you Ice-T. Because if you were a scumbag or you didn't, you know what I mean, you weren't a man of character and principles, you know what I mean? Oh, your daddy was a sucker. You know what I mean? And it falls back on your child. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that was one of his biggest fears is going out like that, to where his son couldn't hold his head up high and be like, that's my daddy. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I'm sure you feel the same way.
Yeah. I think here's the thing. I can touch a lot of people, but if my son who lives with me doesn't believe me, it doesn't matter how many other people I touch.
Right.
He is the testimony. My wife is the testimony of what really goes on in my life. For me, that is the measure of my success. Because I can make a lot of money. I can help a lot of people. But if my own home is a wreck, I've missed it. I missed the point. Mm-hmm. Like, real talk, I missed it.
Okay. Mr. Benny Salas is in the building tonight.
I'm sorry, I came a little passionate.
No, that's perfect. And that's what we want on the Bougie show. Absolutely. Go ahead, Ms. Gray.
Benny, I know that you're a Christian man and you're very involved in your church. How do you incorporate your faith into what you do?
Yeah. You know, when I ask the question, so what are you born to do, right? This is why I think that's such an instrumental question, because it's always much bigger than who we are. Mm-hmm. So whatever faith you are, for me, I practice my faith as a Christian, as a believer in Christ. And so for me, I find purpose in the fact of how God designed me, how he made me, the purpose that he put in my heart. Yeah. And so when I get connected with that, here's the thing. I think so many people shun away from that because I think church has done a bad job of just loving people. They've done a really bad job.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that we're perfect. Like, here's the thing. If you're going to go to church, it's because you're imperfect. And guess what? Everybody's invited because we're all imperfect. And so when I have that conversation, you know, I think the more grace that we experience in our lives, the more grace we can actually show people around us. Like, really, do any of us have the right to be judging people? Really? Right. We got all our stuff together?
Exactly.
You know, like I'm sitting there with playing judge and jury.
Right.
Like my stuff is tight and yours is all a wreck.
Right.
We all come from dysfunctional homes. We all come from broken families. We all come from, I mean, who doesn't have a story?
Yeah, we all have a struggle.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool how you were inspired and, you know, really impacted by society lacking, you know, a quality figure that we need to inspire, innovate, and, you know, break barriers, essentially.
Yeah.
I love that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And you're the man that many people turn to for answers, but who do you turn to for answers? Who do you turn to when you need that extra kick and motivation?
Yeah. You know, I think having a good support network. No, it's all good. I think having a good support network of people, like a lot of us have associates, but how many friends do you really have?
Right. Wow.
So good.
Like,
sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I can count my friends on one hand, and you know what? I'm actually kind of happy about that.
I think it should be that way. Especially as you know, as you grow older.
I think God gave us 10 fingers for a reason.
You don't really want to be in the double digits, man. You know, with friends,
for sure.
Something it just ain't gonna be right.
Man, I'm getting flashbacks to MC Hammer documentary or something. Like, you know,
too many friends that end up costing you. Yeah. You want to keep that circle small,
right?
You know, definitely.
So I think there's that. You know, I also have a coach, people who pour into my life.
Yeah.
I think being under a leadership, whether it's a pastor, a mentor, somebody who can pour into you.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's just relationship is both vertical and horizontal. It's what we do here and it's what we get from here. And so when we allow that to happen, I think for me, that's what fuels me. That's what keeps me in check. Yeah. You know, the relationship with those who I'm intimate with my wife, with my son. You know, don't think a 4-year-old can't teach you a lot. A 4-year-old can teach you a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I love to think that I haven't learned anything from my son, but he's probably one of my greatest teachers right now. He's teaching me how to be present. He's teaching me how to connect. He's teaching me what it actually means. Like when I live my life. Now, I can't say that I've had everything worked out for me as a child. I mean, I had things happen to me that I don't wish on anybody. You know, growing up a tough area, you know, having to have certain situations, having been sexually violated as a 6-year-old boy. And I share that as part of my story because for me, that was something that made me who I am today. Like all of that. Like I couldn't say that back then, like, oh, that was all gravy. It wasn't. It was hard. It caused damage. Yeah. But then you come full circle and you find purpose in it. And then you start to serve people out of a good heart. And you start to connect with people because you can connect in many different ways. But because a lot of us are running from our story, we don't connect with people. So people don't find us authentic.
So when you say running from their story, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
So here's the thing. We all have a story, right?
Oh, right.
A lot of us have stopped writing the next chapter.
Okay.
We've stopped. Someone took our pen away. Someone closed the book on us. We lost our voice. We lost the capacity and the ability to continue sharing the story. Like the story doesn't end there. Like your story doesn't end.
Right.
Your story doesn't end. Your story doesn't end. Like it's still in process. We're still writing this thing. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
like,
absolutely agree.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like I want to leave this earth feeling like I gave it all. Like I don't want no would've, could've, should've. Like I did it all, gave it all. I'm ready to go. God take me. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like that's how I want to leave this earth. So guess what? I do have visions. I do have books that I want to write. I do have a mobile app that I want to develop. Absolutely. And guess what? I'd rather fail trying than not trying, thinking that I succeeded.
Yeah, because you don't want to be on your deathbed saying, "Damn, I wish I would have gave it a shot."
I got one life, man.
Right, exactly. People act like they get to come back reincarnated or something. Let me ask you this. So with the fact that you do understand that it is one life, and as you look at life, for those, what would you say to those who don't know how it is or know how to dig deep within themselves and to find that courage and to continue to have a vision to move forward no matter how dark it may be or how blurry their vision may be? What do you say to them?
Man, I think the first thing is I asked them this question is, so what do you really want? What do you want? Okay. I think we've gotten a bad connotation about wants and needs.
Yeah.
I think somebody who couldn't get what they wanted told you that you can't have that. Right. So, and that's not true. Like, that's not true. Like, so what do you want? Do you want to get well? And here's the thing. I'm not trying to get spiritual or scriptural, but anytime Jesus walked into place, he would always ask them, so what do you want? Do you think he didn't know? I mean, he's God. Right. But he would ask them a question, and he would get them to resonate with what was really in their heart. And if they couldn't do that, they couldn't see it.
Amen. It's the Bougie Show, SkyHawk Radio. Mr. Benny Salas is in the building. We're going to go into the break and come back more with Mr. Salas.
It's getting hot in here,
It's getting hot. And I also want you to elaborate on the main topic. Also, Ms. Alexandra, you have something to say?
I appreciate you for coming in. I am inspired right now, honestly.
Ms. Gray, you want to get into the track? You want to come back, or you got something to say to Mr.
I had
Salas?
another question I want to ask.
All right, go ahead.
So I know you recently started working with a hip hop artist you told me about, based off of New York, and you've been coaching him and his team. How has that experience been? Because this is something new for you, and now you're expanding your work into the entertainment industry. How is that different?
Yeah, and I won't disclose his name because of confidentiality and anonymity in terms of that. But, for me, I think what's been helpful is that no matter what industry you're in, no matter what you do, everybody has the same need. Whether you're an executive, whether you're the guy who has, your entourage and you got 20 boys rolling with you, guess what? We all have the same question. So for me, it's exciting. It is a new market for me. I feel like when I talk with people at that level, there's two main things that I think are really, really important. It's trust and loyalty. Like those are really, really big, right?
Trust, yeah, absolutely. Trust and loyalty. But you can't buy that. That comes in time.
You can't buy that. It comes in time. So it makes it that much more complicated because you have to build a relationship with people. And no matter, whether if it's an artist or like, here's the thing. My vision for working with people is to inspire as many people as I can. But I want to work with people who are influential. I want to work with people who have a voice. And here's the reason why. For me, why that resonates with me. One day I was asking myself, I don't paint, I don't color, I don't draw, I can't sing, I don't play an instrument, I don't do none of that. Like, your boy don't have any of those skills.
Right.
But I tell you the one thing I can do is I can speak. And if I look at anything that God showed me, was his creative ability was to speak.
Wow.
He spoke the earth into existence.
And everybody's given their talent, and it's on you to figure out what your talent is. And
I'm going to speak until the mic drops.
It's the Bougie Show on SkyHawk Radio. Mr. Benny Salas is in the building. Wow. Okay.
Feeling inspired?
I really appreciate.
They should have warned you about me, man.
Well, I did a little bit of research, but it's not the same as having it in physical form. You know what I mean? Right. So, with this Bougie Show, SkyHawk Radio. Coming up, we're going to get into Miss Jessica Reyes and the Gatekeepers. This was something that was informed to me a week ago, and I shared it with my co-hosts. And Mr. Salas, I'm going to inform you about it. Right now, here's a little Tinashe. Here's a Future. Is that who that is, Miss Gray?
Come on.
That's what you wanted to hear? I don't know.
Yes, play
the
that
girls
Faded
request
Love,
this. You
man.
know I be hard on the hard stuff. You know what I'm saying? But anyhow, it's the Bougie Show, SkyHawk Radio. We'll be back with Mr. Benny Salas. Bougie Show. Yay!
It's the Bougie Show on SkyHawk Radio.
Welcome back to the Bougie Show. I am Zay the DJ. This is SkyHawk Radio. Mr. Benny Salas is in the building with us tonight.
Yeah. I waited for the thing. You saw that, right?
I had to hit the bomb on you. Appreciate you for coming to the Bougie Show, SkyHawk Radio. Zay the DJ, Miss Layla Gray, Miss Paige Alexandra is in the building tonight. Wow. How you guys feeling? Feeling good? Everybody feeling good?
Especially after that discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Salas, I want to talk to you about an article I came across last week of a young lady, a musician named Jessica Reyes. She was born in Toronto to Colombian parents. Her family later moved to Brampton. She plays the guitar. She's actually a very talented young lady. She's been writing her whole way through high school. Her roots brought her back to Toronto. She left Toronto and started bartending in South Florida. While bartending in South Florida, she was how should we say it, Miss Gray? She was pursuing her music career for about 5 years down here in South Florida. Nothing was hitting for her, and she ended up getting invited to an industry party. You want to take it from there?
She ended up getting invited to an industry party, and there was important people there, and she thought this was going to be her moment. This was going to be her chance to network with these people, and hopefully something good will happen. And at first, the people, they seemed like they were interested, they were vibing, everything was going well.
Not to cut you off, Miss Gray, can you elaborate a little bit when you say important people? Who are these important people that were at the party that Miss Jessica Reyes was attending? I mean,
according to the short film that I watched, it was, I don't know if it was producers. I think it was producers.
People that could basically put her on and change her life,
yes,
right? Okay.
Yes. As the title suggests, the gatekeepers.
Okay,
so basically people that hold power in the entertainment industry and have the power to put her on.
Okay, so she was there that night. Go ahead.
So she was there that night, and she got introduced to these people, and everything was going well. And then, this guy, he's like, okay, we're going to be going somewhere else. She's thinking they're going to go to the studio. They're going to, talk about music and this and that. And then when they get in the car, he's just basically lets her know that he's trying to smash.
Okay.
And
aggressively pursuing her.
Yes.
Aggressively pursuing her
to the highest level without actually assaulting her.
And when she basically spoke up and is like, nah, I'm not that type of girl, he just started bugging out, started yelling. He caught an attitude and
to say the least.
Yes. and he basically was yelling at her, telling her like, you're never gonna be a singer if you think you're too good, like to give it up.
Right.
So I mean, there's so many girls out there like trying to make it in the industry, and this is something that happens all the time. And I related so much to this song and this short story because I've kind of been through that as well. Like I've been trying to pursue a music career from an early age, and I've always met all producers here and there, people that say they want to put you on, and then when you go to the studio, they're just trying to get you fucked up.
Yeah.
Trying to
Go
get
ahead,
you
keep
drunk.
Keep it real.
Like,
keep it real.
listen,
Go ahead.
that's really what it is. Like, they're not, at the end of the day, they're not really interested. And, just like she says in the film, like, this has even, I've had those thoughts going through my head before, like should I do this? Like, I actually thought about it, and I'm glad that I never did. Yeah. And there's how many girls out there that probably actually do go through with it, and then absolutely nothing happens with their career. So it's like, these girls get used all the time.
And they're like, I feel like, honestly, it's more scarring emotionally, even if they haven't gone through the entire process, even, having that initiation and having your hopes, being sold because you didn't agree with their viewpoint.
Okay, before Ms. Salas, before you elaborate and give your perspective, Ms. Alexandra, I have a question for you. I sent that link to you and you watched it. You told me it was very deep. Did you identify, and what did you identify with her as you were watching that story?
I mean, yeah, everybody has a certain passion and certain goal in life that they want to aspire to be and to fulfill. So I could relate with her in that aspect, but actually pursuing or being put in that situation, I haven't personally been in that predicament, but I do commend her for telling her story and sharing her story and impacting so many lives.
So you haven't come across any of these sleazy guys? Because I know you and me were in the same field. We're trying to do the same thing.
I wanted to ask you both a question. So with the fact that she did admit to actually thinking about doing it, when you heard her say that, did you relate to it, or were you more amazed that she actually admitted it, or is that something that you would have kept to yourself if you were in the same situation where you were able to present your story to the world, which you have actually said you admitted to actually thinking about doing it just to pursue your dream? How did you feel about her actually saying that? To me, that made me feel like her story was true when she said that.
Yeah, no, and like I said, I could relate to that because those thoughts did go through my head.
What you did say.
Yeah,
okay.
when I was faced, with this situation, but just like her, thank God I did not go through with it. And
what do you before Mr. Salas gives his perspective on it? What do you ladies have to say to young and up and coming girls that are getting into the entertainment industry? Period. Not even just music side of it, but just entertainment business and just the game. What would you say to them coming up in the game? And
you just have to know your worth and believe in yourself and believe in your talent. You have to know what you're worth. And I felt like with Jessie Reyes, at the end of the day, she knew that she was worth way more than that, and that's why she made the decision that she did.
Okay.
So
yeah, I agree. You just really have to believe in yourself and never fall into the character of doubt.
Absolutely.
So just stay strong and never fall into that peer pressure, that negative energy.
Well said.
That's
Mr.
good.
Salas.
I'll just go off what they've said.
Right.
I think you should never sacrifice your worth for your work.
Oh, wow.
Your work is what you do. Your worth is who you are.
And that song that she wrote about the worst night of her life ended up giving her, the platform to be successful.
Absolutely.
It's so funny how, the evil turned into a blessing.
How many of our situations in life we thought were going to work out, and the reroute actually put us right back on track.
Exactly. Quite often. So, and I wanted from a male perspective, as I was looking at the, because I was having this conversation with a friend of mine, and I was telling him yo, dudes, it's stupid because you're thinking with the wrong head. Because I'm like, what if she was going to be the next Alicia Keys?
Exactly.
But you're so concerned with, knocking boots and being intimate, but you're not even though she's talented, she expressed to you her talent in the beginning, and she's clearly saying, is there a studio where we're going after? But dudes be so, I guess because they've already received success.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they're financially stable that they feel like. But I'm just thinking as a businessman.
That should never make you want to diminish another person's character.
Right.
Period. We're here to help one another.
No, he was a total scumbag, and the scumbags are here. But what I was saying to Mr. Salas is that as a man, and I want you to say this and give your perspective on it, and as men and addressing young men out there that might reach a certain level of success, but still understand how to have character and have principles to yourself and be a businessman first, and not because a lot of times that girl did not say this man's name.
Right.
Now, I don't know if she was afraid of a lawsuit, getting sued, or whatever the case may be, for defamation of character, or whatever the case may be. But at the same time, everything, when you read through the comments, everybody was like, who is it? Who is it? They want to know. And she didn't reveal to who it was, and she did say that the producer's career was no longer rolling. But I just thought about it as men, especially as young men, businessmen, how we got to be more focused and always understand the brand and focus on the talent. Why are you trying? Like, me and my friend were having a discussion where you're the big producer. You can go to the club. They literally have groupies that just there to find the stars, the ballers. Right. Why are you trying to sleep with the talent, the girl that's actually pursuing her dream? It's like you had a dream one time. Yeah. So why are you trying, you know what I'm saying? Trying to take, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So y'all feeling me?
One of my followers said that the women have to have a good character and be professional for men. What do you guys think about that?
Is at first I would say if you've never been in the game, or in the industry as far as being around these events and see how these guys actually act, I would tell you just to do your research before you elaborate and give your opinion on certain things, because I've been in there. I've been in there. I've been at I was at the and I'll share the story with you guys. I was at the Meek Mill. I think this was 2013. It was They Don't Love You No More. It was Khaled. It was French. It was Chloe. This when French was messing with Chloe. They literally, how we sitting here. I'm just sitting here. And I'm chilling because I'm in there because my man he's like first AD on the set. So French is there. The Heat, this one LeBron was with the Heat. They were playing the Pacers. And so it was like a break time. They went from inside the warehouse outside. So they're doing a break. Everybody's parlaying, hanging out. And as I'm looking at the trailer, I see a trailer. And I see this young lady walking out. Now, this young lady was a very attractive young lady. Somebody that the average man on the street, a 9-to-5 guy, would probably marry and bring home to mommy just based off of her looks. Right. Now, she's literally walking off the trailer. She had on like a skirt. She's adjusting it, and she's fixing her hair at the same time. And we knew it went down. But the fact of the matter is that it's such a lack of respect, and just how these women throwing themselves out there and just getting mudded, what we say in the streets, mudded and dogged out. Right. They didn't even allow you the time to fix yourself up before you presented yourself back out here to this audience. You understand what I'm saying? And these are things that I've seen, and it's just a shame because I really get inspired, and I really take a liking to women that have respect for themselves and conduct themselves as ladies and move. Now, don't get me wrong. I like a girl that's down too. You know what I mean? Right. That's down to earth. But at the same time,
down to earth.
I mean, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, damn, you know what I mean? We ain't got to be bougie all the time. Shit, kick your feet up sometimes. Like, fuck it. But anyhow, you know what I mean? You got to know when to be bougie and you know what I mean, when not to. But anyhow, yeah, we just have a great conversation.
Stop while you're ahead. Yeah.
Mr. Benny Salas is in the building tonight.
There you go.
We're elaborating on the industry and the wickedness and the darkness that goes behind.
Can I weigh in?
Yeah, go ahead. Absolutely.
So I've never been in the industry, so I can't really speak from that perspective and say people are like this or they're like that. I think we have to look at it from a society's perspective. That one, who told this young lady that she wasn't worth more than that, right? Who told this young man that it was okay to manipulate and use people, right? To abuse your power.
Right.
These are all behaviors. These are things that we've learned, and it goes to show you that we'll sacrifice what we want most for what we'll want in the moment. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes we'll say, well, I didn't do that. That's not who I am, but that's what you did. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, what creates change is ownership. So in other words, if I did do that and I did manipulate people, what do I need to change about that? Because guess what? The likelihood of it happening again is very likely, of him manipulating somebody else, right? Absolutely. Right. And what's the likelihood of this young woman saying, well, I didn't work out with this producer, well, I sleep with the next producer? Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So the question is, you mentioned worth, and I think that's so important. But here's the thing. It all starts when you were way younger. It started way before you wanted a career. It started when you were building your character.
Right.
That's when it started.
They say the money doesn't change. It just brings out what was really inside of you.
That's it. And character is what we're always working towards.
Yeah.
And so, it's so interesting because it's sad. As I didn't watch the documentary video. Right. I listened to the music video. And it was sad because you can see and feel the pain and the hurt in her music.
Yes.
Like you could see okay, this is somebody crying out. And, it's what really sucks about it is that we would say, oh, she probably did that because she must have been molested, or she must have had sex when she was younger, and yada. We'll come up with all these excuses instead of just looking at the moment and saying she was taken advantage of. And I think as business people, as entrepreneurs, or if we're people in position and in power, nothing goes unseen, and nothing, whether you call it karma, you call it what you plant, you reap what you sow, whatever vernacular you use to describe it, just know that what you do will come back. And so if you sow good, you're going to reap good. And so, rather you're in the industry, rather you're selling me a car, rather you're mowing my lawn, is irrelevant. And so I think people have to add greater worth to themselves, because if they do, what they'll realize is that may not work, but guess what? That's not working for me either. And sometimes those are tough conversations that in the thick of being desperate and wanting things in life, think about how many decisions we've made just because we're desperate in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm not even pursuing a career like that.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? So I think when it comes to those kinds of conversations, the conversation is about, because here's the thing, here's where I get hung up on. I get hung up on guys who say, well, this is what I want to be in the community, but then they give a whole different message and they objectify women in a way that's like, wait a minute, bro, that's contrary to your message. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm just doing it for whatever, to make money. Really? For money? You're willing to give a mess? Here's the thing, my son is watching that. Like, don't think our kids don't watch that. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's twisted out there.
So I'm a firm believer that kids follow their parents first.
Absolutely.
Everything they see is within that household.
Absolutely.
Before they bring it out to society. So what you're saying, you feel like people should take a care in how they represent themselves to the public eye and to the youth, and feel like they should hold some responsibility. You know what I mean? I'm saying because Charles Barkley has a famous quote from back in the day.
I'm not a role model.
Your parents are your role model, right? But then you still are a role model, because you have people that are inspired by you that don't have parents or come from a broken home.
Whether you want to be or not.
But do you have to accept that role? Do you have to accept that role?
I think you have to accept the responsibility
that comes with the territory.
Right. Like, here's the thing. If you turn up and act a fool at your job, do you have to take responsibility for that? Yes.
Whether you want to or
not. How much more in society? What, you check out?
Yeah.
It's not what you do, it's who you are.
Right.
It's what you're becoming.
Benny Salas in the building, the Bougie Show, SkyHawk Radio.
This guy got quotes for days.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, absolutely. You have anything else to say about that, Miss Gray, Miss Alexandra? As far as Jessica, if you haven't seen it, check it out. The short film is pretty dope. Vicky, did you watch it? Yeah, me and you gonna beef after the show. I told you 3 times to watch that.
Yes, check it out, guys. Jesse Reyes on YouTube. The short film is called Gatekeepers.
Gatekeepers. It's dope. Trust me. It's 18 minutes of your life that you definitely won't say, I can't get it back. You know what I mean? The Bougie Show, SkyHawk Radio. What we got coming up next, ladies?
Coming up next, we got the word on the street.
We still gonna give y'all some entertainment. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Paige Alexandra requested this record. You know I'm not a fan of these guys, but hey, I respect the hustle. They're coming up. I just want to let it be known. Say the DJ does not represent this. Yours, the Bougie Show, SkyHawk Radio. Coming up next. Word on the streets. Yee!
It's time for the Bougie Show to inform you with the word on the streets.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here with the word on the street. I'm going to lead us into this. So we're going to be talking right now about Rick Ross being hospitalized. So he's finally home, actually.
Shout out to Rose. We're going to definitely hit her.
Yes.
Get back healthy. I am a fan, and I don't use that word lightly, of his work, and have been for quite some time. So yeah, glad to see him. Go ahead, Miss Gray. Word on the streets, Miss Layla Gray and Miss Paige Alexandra. Go ahead.
So he's finally home after spending 4 days in the hospital. He was hospitalized last week for heart-related issues after he was found unresponsive in his Florida home. He was in ICU for a little bit and then put on ECMO, which assists respiratory and heart functions. He reportedly spent 4 days in a local hospital and then was transferred to a second hospital at some point because of his condition. So when this story first hit, it was reported that Ross was hooked up to a life support machine that was assisting his heart and his lungs. And an unidentified family member strongly denied at the time that he was even hospitalized. So they was really trying to keep this story on the low. The rapper was released from the hospital early Monday morning, and he has decided to postpone his daughter's $100,000 Sweet 16 at the Versace mansion. Isn't that crazy? Shit, I want to be his daughter.
Yeah, that's
crazy, right?
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he pushed back. He don't want to let that $100,000 go to waste.
Yeah,
but,
for real.
That's That's
Back
dope.
in 2011, Ross was hospitalized after having 2 seizures on 2 separate flights. And he attributed the incidents to lack of sleep and has since reportedly changed his lifestyle and diet. So we're going to continue praying for Rick Ross and his speedy recovery.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I seen him post something, so like I said, it's good that he's still alive and doing well.
Yeah. But you know who ain't praying for Rick Ross?
Southside in the building.
Right? 50 Cent definitely ain't praying for Rick Ross. Zay, why don't you tell us what 50 posted on his Instagram?
The Rocky. Are you familiar with the Rocky 4?
Oh man.
Curtis, Team Betty, all day. That's what he does.
What happened? Tell me.
Tell Paige what happened.
All right, you're not familiar with Rocky 4.
Let me know.
The big Russian. The Russian that kills Apollo, you don't know,
Fill
right?
me
Okay.
in.
So there's a scene in the Rocky 4 where the Russian kills
Drago.
what's his name? Drago.
Drago.
Kills Rocky's best friend in the ring. Well, he's dying in the ring, and the Russian looks at Rocky and says, "If he dies, he dies." So it's like a famous quote of that movie. So 50 takes a meme, but he doesn't put anything in the caption. He just puts that picture, and everybody knows what he meant by it. If he dies, he dies. So. The comments,
Savage.
People have no chill. They have no chill.
Do you think he meant that for him, or do you think he meant that for
he
Conor
definitely,
McGregor?
No, he definitely meant that for Rick
Okay.
Ross.
Right?
He
Because
definitely meant that
they've
for-
been
No, they have a
beefing.
serious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
They have actual personal problems. McGregor thing is more of a jokey thing. You know what I'm saying? But
Publicity, right? Okay.
yeah, no, their situation is personal, and that's because he posted something prior to that also. Throwing shots. So
Yes.
that's how it is.
50 is savage. He always posting savage ass shit.
Yeah, he's on borrowed time. That's what happens when somebody's probably knows that they should have been out of here and clocked out, but they actually got a second chance to live. I think they just become relentless and fearless, and they just don't care. 'Cause they know that, hey, I'm on borrowed time. So I think that's what leads to him being a savage. So,
Right.
You got anything to say about that?
I got nothing.
Benny Salas is in the building with us
I'm
tonight.
gonna stick to what I'm good at.
Stay in your lane. All right,
so
what else is the word?
Let's move on. So Jordan Peele becomes the first African American to win Best Original Screenplay at the Oscars. Yes.
Great movie.
I'm so
Get Out. The
damn-
director. You seen the movie Get Out?
I
Go
have
ahead,
not seen
Miss
it.
Ray.
Oh,
Oh wow, you definitely need to
Oh,
watch
come
it.
on.
I should have burned you a copy. I would have brought it for you if I'd have known you never
I'm
seen it.
so damn proud of him because I'm a big fan of him. I'm a big fan of the Key and Peele show. I think they're hilarious, and I absolutely loved the movie Get Out.
Wait, Miss Gray, I didn't know I thought that was the only thing he ever did was the movie. I didn't know he had
No,
a show.
they have
and
the
all
show.
that.
Key and Peele is like a comedy show, and he's done movies also. But this is like the first one that he like directed,
Right,
wrote,
right,
and all that. So I thought it was great. I thought it was different and definitely deserved to win. I would have been upset if it didn't win. So Jordan Peele won an Academy Award for writing Get Out. This is his first Oscar. He made history just by becoming the first black director to receive the Academy Award nominations in writing, directing, and producing categories for the film. He didn't win for directing and producing, but he did win for writing. And the first person he thanked during his acceptance speech was his mother, who he says taught him how to love even in the face of hate. Like, that's...
Yeah, that's a very
deep.
difficult thing to do.
Yes.
I'm sure you can speak on that.
Oh man.
Being able to give the love, because you have to dig deep, right? You would say, Miss Gray? No, Miss Alexander.
No, absolutely.
Because if I see the hate, I've gotten a lot better, just getting older and just knowing that you don't have to react to everything. Every action doesn't deserve a reaction. But what do you say to those that still battling with embracing the hate and in returning love? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I heard this quote. Says that forgiveness is not about keeping score; it's about counting the cost. And the idea.
Say that one more time again. Let me just digest.
Forgiveness is not about keeping score; it's about counting the cost. And the idea is, how many times do we have to forgive people? Like, when we hold that hatred in our heart, it's like drinking our own poison, but wishing for the other person to die. It kills us.
Yeah, yeah. That's one of my flaws. Is I have a hard time forgiving. I've learned to move on. Oh yeah, it's one of my biggest flaws. God, like a guy always say, God forgives, I don't. Yeah, I gotten better, but whew. God, go ahead, Miss Gray. I didn't mean to know you off.
No, it's cool.
I just started talking to
Sorry.
him. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
We'll talk after the show.
I forgive too easily. That's my problem.
You do?
Yes. And I trust too easily.
Same.
That's my problem.
Well, yeah. Well,
We Aquarians.
Y'all better shake out of that.
We have that
you in the entertainment
humanitarian.
business. Y'all better shake.
Just get to age 30. That'll change.
Yeah, it'll change.
Yeah.
Duly noted.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm taking notes.
Lose less faith. Okay. So yes, applaud to him though. That's great.
Shout out to Jordan Peele and congrats to him.
What'd you say the name of that show was again?
Key and Peele.
Key and Peele. That's on Netflix or something?
I don't know. It probably is on Netflix now.
I don't have Netflix.
I'm not sure. Whatever. Just Google it.
I use my mother-in-law's. Don't worry.
Use your mother-in-law's.
Everybody uses somebody else's account.
Don't you dare log into my laptop. I'll steal your password.
Yeah, that quick. He's a hacker. Miss Alexandra, did you see Get Out?
I did.
Okay. I just want to make sure you seen it too. I didn't want to make sure it was just more than one person.
No,
okay.
I definitely saw
Okay.
it.
All right. Cool.
Yes. Jordan Peele doing it for the culture.
That part.
Yeah. So
You think they'll make a sequel to that?
I don't know. I hope they do.
How can you though? That's crazy.
I don't think it needs a sequel.
I never will watch that movie again, by the way.
Really?
No, that lady in the kitchen with the hair, the maid lady.
Oh my God,
she freaks me out.
creepy as
I
hell,
won't even
right?
talk to a girl if she look like her for that whole 2 weeks. If you even resembled her, I would. You gotta watch that movie.
I gotta watch the
that
movie now.
lady will freak
Watch it
you
tonight.
out.
Watch
You
it
seen it,
tonight.
Vicky? You ain't seen Get Out?
Oh my God,
Stephanie,
guys.
you seen it? Oh my God.
That movie's awesome.
It's on HBO Demand if you have it, man. Just,
Y'all gotta
just-
watch
just
it. Y'all
whatever.
gotta
You
watch it.
It just won. It won the what? Oscar? That's what he just won.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, if it's just Oscar, you know, come on. All right. Anyhow, word on the streets, Miss Gray. What up?
All right, I got one more. This
I'm listening.
This is for the ladies. You ain't gonna really care for this one, but.
I'm not. Go
So
ahead.
Safari.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. I'm taking my headphones out. I am
Right?
not Charlamagne. I do not talk about certain things, and that's one of them. Go ahead.
Safari, many of you know as Nicki Minaj's ex-boyfriend. He was also on Love and Hip Hop. So he has some nude videos and pictures that got leaked, and bitches is going crazy. So many speculated that he released the video himself, but Safari claims to have been the victim of a Snapchat gone wrong when this naked video surfaced on the web of him swinging his thing around. And let me tell you, the girls have gone wild over this footage after seeing what he's working with. In a recent interview, his explanation was that he wasn't taking a picture of his junk. He was taking a picture of himself, supposedly, because he's been working out a lot, working on his V-cut, and wanted to make sure, his joint was popping. So he chose to Snapchat because the camera's different. Whatever, I'm not sure if I believe that, but he says it definitely wasn't intentional, and he's a little embarrassed because he has his family on social media. He said he has his nieces on Snapchat and stuff, and he also gave a little apology to his mom. So girls have been leaving the thirstiest comments on his Instagram and stuff, and also people roasting, talking shit. Somebody said, "I'm sorry for roasting you, Safari. I didn't know. We didn't know." And somebody also said, "Suddenly Safari music not sounding too bad." So I've been cracking up. Yeah. Because there's this video that he posted. He recently did a performance for his new song called Hunt, and I've been down all day. He was at a show performing this new song, and he has all these girls trying to dance on him, trying to dub. Like, these girls are literally pushing each other out the way. And as he's dancing, he's holding the camera, and this girl's like grabbing him mad hard, and he's like, "Help!"
No way.
He literally said help. So, I don't know. I've been laughing about that. Like, I watched that video mad times. I thought it was hilarious, and yeah. And he was on The Breakfast Club talking about how he want a wife, but he out here dubbing with a bunch of hoes.
It's a double standard. You know that.
Time to stop the fuckery.
So that is that.
And that's definitely a note if you have naked photos that you don't want the public to see. First of all, don't take them on Snapchat or save them, and just don't take them in general.
You know what? I feel like it's so normal nowadays for naked pictures to be released. Like, I remember back in the day, you had to search for them, But I feel like celebrities be leaking them shits on purpose.
I just have one question because I don't have much to say or anything at all about this this topic. Do you actually feel like it accidentally got leaked, or you feel like that was a marketing strategy on his part? Because I have a hard time believing that it just got out there.
I think it was a marketing strategy because now everybody's talking about him.
Yeah, because he was dead, and then
now his song's being played.
I mean, he'll have his 15 minutes, and then you're gonna have to find something new to come with, especially if your song is not gonna hit. Yeah, you guys can pretty much elaborate on that. I don't have much to say, like I said. And we have the Mr. Benny Salas joining us tonight on the SkyHawk Radio, the Bougie Show.
Benny ain't got nothing to say about this.
I'm like that emoji.
Yeah, just
silence.
We'll just let y'all have this one. You know,
but yeah, no, that's the word on the street, guys.
Yeah.
Shall we go into break?
Yeah, let's go into a song. Let me get my thoughts together. What we got coming up next? Wow. Okay, I'm gonna hand the L out to somebody.
Yes,
How about that?
you.
Paige Alexander in the building, Layla Gray in the building, Mr. Benny Salas in the building, SkyHawk Radio is in the building. It's the Bougie Show on SkyHawk Radio. Yay!
Damn, man, do I have to spell it out? I'll make it plain. Okay, but listen up. I'm gonna break it down.
Let it be broke, motherfucker.
Can you dig it?
It's Doug.
It is now time for Zay the DJ to hand out an L to a loser on the Bougie Show.
What's up? Welcome back to the Bougie Show. It is time for me to hand out an L right now. SkyHawk Radio, the Bougie Show. So, let's get right into it. This Wednesday, March 7th, the L is going to a Kansas man who pleaded guilty this past Tuesday to the murder of an Indian-born engineer whom he had angrily confronted about his immigration status at a bar. Here last year, I believe it was last year, February, the belligerent individual approached the Indian man and basically got into an altercation with him, then fatally shot in an attack that drew international scorn. Witnesses say the suspect, Adam Purinton, yelled, "Get out of my country," before firing the shots that killed the engineer. Here is an audio clip of Mr. Purinton pleading guilty today in the courtroom.
Court was quiet today as Purinton put in his guilty pleas in the 3 charges he faces tied to that February 2017 shooting at Austin's Bar and Grill in Olathe, Kansas. In that shooting, he killed Srinivas Kuchibotla and sent 2 others, Alok Madasani and Ian Grillett, to the hospital.
How do you wish to plead? Guilty, Your Honor. The court will accept your plea of guilty and find you guilty of that charge.
One after the other, Purinton repeated those words in court Tuesday. He sat silently as the assistant district attorney detailed his interactions on February 22nd with the 3 men he shot. It all took place after management at Austin's asked him to leave following a confrontation with Kuchibotla and Madasani. The state says he did leave, but soon came back with a gun and a scarf to cover his face.
As he entered the patio, he fired at least 8 shots from his gun at close range at Srinivas and Alok. Shots from the defendant's gun struck Srinivas several times, causing him to fall to the ground.
After he tried to escape, he encountered another person, Ian Grillett, who tried to stop him.
The defendant turned around and from close range fired 1 shot, which struck Ian in the hand and the chest.
Not in court today was Sinaina Dumala, Kuchibotla's widow. Her words were clear.
Today's guilty verdict in the murder of my husband will not bring back my Srinu, but it will send a strong message that hate is never acceptable. We must understand and love one another.
Okay, Purinton guilty plea was for state charges of first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder for the 2 men he wounded. Purinton, 52 years of age, is expected to be sentenced to life in prison on May 4th, but he also faces hate crime and firearm charges in a federal court. The shooting came at the time of a rising across the country over anti-immigration sentiment and potential ramifications. How you guys feel about it? I mean, just to scumbag. I mean, what is there to say? I mean, I would come to a final conclusion and all that, but a scumbag is a scumbag. And
I agree.
An old man from Atlanta told me in the summer of 1997, I believe it is. He said, "Young man," he said, "young blood." He said, "What was young, dumb, and full of cum is now old, dumb, and full of rum." So I'll just leave it at that.
Wow.
Mr. Purinton, you can go ahead and do us the honors of
Put a pistol in your mouth.
and
Kill yourself, loser.
that part. Coming up, word around town with you guys.
Right,
After
word
this. After this, right? After this break.
What I had heard.
The Bougie Show. Yee. Take this L, man. Take this L. SkyHawk Radio, Mr. Benny Salas joining us tonight. We'll be back after the break. Yee.
All right.
This is what I had heard on the Bougie Show.
All right. So, Paige Alexandria, and I'm giving you your what I had heard today. So, security complications seem to be on the rise for Apple customers. So, if you have an Apple iPhone, this is something that you need to know. Okay, so an engineering company called Cellbrite, which is located in Israel. It's a vendor that the U.S. government specifically uses to crack codes for, investigations, etc. They've managed to break into the iPhone with an iOS 5 update all the way up until the iOS 11. And it's crazy because the iOS 11 is actually the new feature that came out this past September. So it's been specifically designed to make it harder for forensics to actually crack the code. So it's kind of crazy. We were just talking about the iPhone 10, and I'm sure that the iPhone 10 has that update. If not, I don't know. Does anybody have an iPhone 10 in here? No, but anyway.
It's all Apple on the table, though. You believe that.
It's probably good that you don't, because there's some complications in the security aspect. So what do you guys think about that? What came to your mind? Well, you don't.
I mean, I've been having trouble since I've been doing the updates with my iPhone. It just, I don't know if they force us to buy new ones because the update. I don't know, but
I don't know.
That's weird because I usually don't hear people messing around with Apple products like that.
The first thing that came to my mind was, the lack of privacy for us and the invasion. You know what I mean? But as I continue,
that's how the news get leaked.
Right, exactly. So for all of you
from
people,
being hacked, huh?
Totally,
100%. But the good thing about it is that your phone won't be able to be hacked into unless it's like actually physically, manually worked on, if that makes sense. So that's good.
So somebody would have to literally have your phone in their hand and actually hack it that way.
Physically.
You can't just hack it from another computer or
not yet, but
okay.
I mean, of course they're working on that.
I expect Apple to tighten up and handle that because they usually
Absolutely.
on top of. They told the FBI we're not giving you
mouse.
nothing, so
It's a cat and mouse race. Yeah. Moving on, and speaking of law enforcement,
okay.
2 LAPD police officers were caught abusing their authority through acts of rape. Okay, so 4 women between the ages of 19 to 34 years old were investigated on drug-related charges, but they say that they were raped by these 2 veteran cops. Okay, so forcing the women to perform sexual acts to avoid jail. These ladies were attacked in alleys, apartments, and even the patrol cars. How crazy is this? One woman even accused both officers assaulting her at the same time. Insane. So I think it's just crazy how, these officers are, I'm not saying all of them, I'm not putting them all into one category, but when certain people are abusing their power, it's not right and it's not okay. And how do you allow us or expect us to trust you to protect the peace, uphold the laws of jurisdiction, provide patrol, and even, how can we trust you to investigate crimes without, I don't know. It's just.
And this kind of goes back to what we were talking about, people in position of power, taking advantage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
So there is evidence.
Yes. These officers are actually facing 25 years.
Rightfully so.
In prison. Yeah.
Wow.
So what do you guys think?
Again, people abusing power, but that day is over. I really feel like people are stepping up now more than ever, especially women and those men of certain ages from certain generations that felt that were getting away with what they were doing.
Yeah.
Prior to all this stuff coming out now, I think what's in the dark must come to light, and the world is changing. And I think those men that have been in power and been successful so long and took advantage of so many women, I feel like repercussions and karma is coming back.
Yeah.
Their way.
But I do want to end on a good note. Let's shine some positivity on this community.
Share it with us, Miss Alexandra. What's up?
Yeah. So, actually, the celebrity father-son duo, Will and Jaden Smith, they have teamed together to help purify the water in Flint, Michigan schools. I don't know if you've been on Instagram or on social media, but, flashback to 2014 when officials changed the water system in Flint, Michigan. In doing so, they failed to use the corrosion control treatment. So, hence the lead overload and levels in the water. Do you not?
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Just brushing your
I'm
memory.
definitely familiar with the dirty water whole thing.
So long story short,
okay.
Will and Jaden, they have a company, Just Water. It's 100% pure spring water, and they're made with paper plastic bottles. So it's eco-friendly, and they're giving back, and they're donating to all of the schools in Flint until the lead levels lower significantly. So
What made them do that? Did they come out and give a press statement or anything like that?
Well, I heard that Jada has she's very impacted with that city. I don't know. I just read it somewhere.
You said Jada?
Jada,
his wife.
His
Okay.
wife.
All right.
But I did read somewhere that they recently did testing in their water and lead levels were.
So they're just being good philanthropists, right?
Oh, yeah.
Good tax write-off, too.
Hey, absolutely. It's a major tax write-off. You got to find something to do with your money.
Smart.
But Will Smith does give encouraging messages. I seen something with him the other day when he's gym. So shouts out to them. And we'll give a kudos to the Smith family. Thank you for the report, Miss Alexandra. Miss Gray. Mr. Hey, man, appreciate you coming through tonight, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Mr. Benny Salas is in the building, the coaching guy. If you don't know who he is, check him out on Instagram at the coaching guy. What are your other social media accounts that you got out there to say?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter. I love to. Man, I fell in love with Twitter again. Thank you, Donald Trump. That's the only thing that he actually brought me back to.
Drop a bomb.
Yeah, it's about
or
it.
somebody giving a thanks to the president.
Yeah.
But anyhow,
you might want to remove that from the transcript. Anyways, but
yeah,
social media. I love social media. I think it's a great way to get your message out there. I think so many people there are afraid of it, and I'm like, you got something to share, get on platforms. Yeah. Don't complain about what you're not saying,
or what you don't have, or what you are not yet.
Yep.
Absolutely. I'm rocking or knocking next. Yeah. Before we get into the Bougie mix, you also have you have any words? We know what we're gonna get. If you don't mind, for your segment. Moment in time. Okay. Would you like to be the person to give some words of encouragement? We have a segment at the end of every show before we go into the Bougie mix where Miss Alexandra or Miss Gray, whoever chooses to, they would just give some words of encouragement.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you want to be a part of it. It could be 10, 20 seconds.
Absolutely.
Whatever.
I'm here to serve you guys.
Okay. All right. Cool. Definitely. Thanks. I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that.
You
but
can put me on the spot. I'm good.
You are made to talk. What'd you say?
It's on his heart.
It's on his heart. Okay. All right. Well, we'll be back.
That's what he does.
We'll be back. We're gonna come up. We got Rock or Knocks
coming up next.
It's the Bougie Show on SkyHawk Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to rock or knock with Zay the DJ on the Bougie Show.
Welcome back to the Bougie Show. I am Zay the DJ. This is SkyHawk Radio. Mr. Benny Salas is joining me tonight. Miss Layla Gray, Miss Paige Alexandra is in the building. You ladies and gentlemen are ready to rock or knock with Zay the DJ on the Bougie Show?
Let's do it.
Y'all ready to roll?
Yes, sir.
All right, right out the gate. Lil Wayne, $50 million lawsuit against Birdman of Cash Money is entering its fourth year. In a file made on February 21st, Wayne's legal team is accusing Cash Money of only pretending to hand over all documents they have been required by the court. They point out even though Cash Money has made over $200 million, it hasn't provided any accounting, bank, or tax records in the case. Wayne says the information Cash Money is refusing to turn over includes documents relating to Nicki Minaj and Drake. He also demanded all records pertaining to Nicki and the label since 2011. The label has claimed that they have no documents, but Wayne says that's impossible due to Nicki releasing albums with the company since 2011. Wayne wants information pertaining to Cash Money's deals with Drake, but again, they claim to have no documents available. Are we rocking with Lil Wayne still pursuing Cash Money about his $50 million? And do you believe that Cash Money's holding out with the documents?
I believe they're holding out, and y'all need to give Lil Wayne what's his.
Pay that man, huh?
There's no way they don't have records.
Yeah, they absolutely
for that. Like,
yeah. They're only going to provide what the court demanded before. They're just going to have to put more pressure on them. But yeah, baby don't want to cough that money up.
Right? Nah, he need to get his money. That's $50 million.
Right here buying Tony Braxton yellow wedding rings and all that stuff. What you got to say about it, Mr. Salas? You rocking with that?
I'm rocking with it, man.
You rocking with Wayne getting his money?
His money. Absolutely.
All right, Miss Alexandra?
Rocking.
All right. All right. So coming up, we have Florida legislators advance a bill arming teachers over objection of Parkland parents. House and Senate committees advanced legislation yesterday to create a new statewide program to put armed teachers in classrooms over the vocal opposition of teachers, parents, and many Parkland residents. We rocking with that? That they pass a law for the teachers to have guns, or you feel like they should have respected the Parkland residents and the parents?
I don't think teachers should have guns.
period. I mean, this has been a hot topic, obviously. You know, even if they're armed and trained, even certain teachers or, you know, we shouldn't have it in the classroom. We shouldn't have it on a school campus unless you're a police officer. How you feel about that, Mr. Salas?
No, I'm not rocking with that.
Okay, we're not rocking with that. So we are 1 for 1. Ms. Alexandra?
Absolutely not.
Not rocking. Okay. All right. And we'll lighten it up a little bit. Last but not least, there's a new app that lets users set their sexual boundaries before intimacy, then solidify them in a legal agreement. But is this really the future of consent? The app name Legal Fling basically lets users give explicit sexual contact via an agreement or a live contract, a dynamic document that users can continuously interact with and update. So basically, you can update your sexual boundaries on a daily.
Like some 50 Shades of Grey.
And take into consideration that these agreements can be held up in court. So if you break the contract and you didn't agree to cock your leg all the way open, I mean, I'm sorry.
Oh my God!
You didn't agree to get. What's a good one? Yeah, if you didn't. Yeah, let me.
There is an app for that, huh?
This is wild.
So we're not rocking with that. I mean, getting an understanding. I think this had to be be created by man.
What do you guys think? Is it
The
to protect the men?
When I see men, I don't mean man.
That's what I'm thinking, to protect the men, because you know, they think men think a lot of girls are out there screaming rape and stuff.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is like, well, according to the contract, she said I could
stick my finger in it somewhere.
I could put it in back there or whatever the hell it is. I don't know. But
no hesitation.
Jesus, I need him right now.
I did. Yeah. So we rocking with that.
Oh man.
Could you ever find yourself using that app?
No. But to each his own. To each his own.
So you're not rocking, Miss Gray, Miss Alexandra?
I mean, the app is cool. I wouldn't be on it though.
Okay. Mr. Salas, you pleading the fifth? No comment?
Definitely not rocking. That's all.
You're not rocking.
I'm not rocking with that.
So, Miss Alexandra, so what's that? 1 for 2, Vicky? Are you rocking with that, Vicky? The sexual app, Miss Stephanie? No. Okay. Nobody's rocking with the sexual app. Maybe try again in another 5 years, and you guys' opinions will change.
A lot could change.
That's it for Rock or Not. I would like to give you the floor, Mr. Salas.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you want an instrumental or do you want dead air. You want an instrumental and just give a little words of motivation or whatever it is that you're feeling. Speak from the heart, and we'll drop a beat for you right now. And Mr. Bougie Show, SkyHawk Radio, Ms. Layla Gray, Ms. Paige Alexandra's in the building, along with motivational speaker, the coaching guy himself, Mr. Benny Salas. Right now, he's going to elaborate and do our moment in time segment with our special guest tonight. Here we go.
Cool. So I recently posted something called 7 Deadly Words That Will Kill Your Progress. And I've never done it this way before. You know, just because we've never done something a certain way doesn't mean that we don't have the capacity to actually achieve something that's in our heart. You know, for us, everything that we have inside of us, there's a purpose, there's a reason behind it. You know, just because, you know, life will throw obstacles your way, will throw circumstances your way. You'll be betrayed, you'll be lied upon, someone will gossip about you, whatever the case may be. But it doesn't mean that we cannot pursue the thing that is truly on our heart. You know, when we ask this question, what do you really want? That's a statement that you should make. And that should be a statement that you live by. It should always be the thing that always brings you right back around to what's truly in your heart. You know, oftentimes I just think that we neglect that because we're trying to get affirmation from people. We want people to love our ideas more than we love ourselves. And then we base on that our worth. And it should never be that way. It needs to be about what we believe. It needs to be about, hey, this is the progress I want to make in my life. So maybe things didn't start off the right way. Maybe you had a bad relationship. Maybe you failed at a business. Maybe you failed at an attempt to do something. But guess what? You continue picking back up. You continue moving forward. You know, for me, that was my education. I was 33 years old and I graduated from college because I wanted to be the first one in my family to graduate. And again, it was shameful for a time because I would see people and they would talk about their degrees and I talked the big game, but I just needed some wallpaper. But I had to make the effort. I had to take a step out. I had to take a step forward, and I had to take a step into something that I wanted, not only for myself, but for my future. And for me, those lessons are what sustains me today. And I think if you're listening, you know, you've gone through life. You've gone through specific things. There are lessons that you've learned, and that's going to help you to make progress. It's going to help you to move forward. And so I just want to encourage you. If that's you, you're listening to me, listen, life is going to throw things at you, but don't let those 7 words that I've never done it this way before kill you and stop your progress. There's more to you, and you just got to access it. And I encourage you to do that.
Yes, Mr. Benny Salas is in the building tonight. Motivational speaker, that Bougie. Excuse me, I'm talking about that Bougie coach. Excuse me. Great job.
Wow.
That Bougie coach.
That's a new one. I'm gonna take that Bougie coach.
You can have that. Drop on that. No, great job, sir. Truly appreciate it. Well said. Well spoken. I appreciate you again for coming through to the Bougie Show tonight. Being a part of the SkyHawk Radio team. Appreciate Ms. Layla Gray for informing me about you and bringing you aboard. And it was definitely worth every minute.
If ever you need me to come back, I'd love to.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely have you come back when you have your book ready.
Absolutely.
Or even before that, but definitely when you have your book, because and I know that's a very difficult thing too, by the way, writing a book. But yes, great job today. Appreciate your presence. You have anything? Thank you, sir. You have anything to say to him, Miss Gray?
No, I just want to thank you once again coming in. This was a great show, and you definitely spoke that truth and dropped that knowledge on us. And it's definitely things that I'm going to take home with me. And, I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Ms. Alexandra?
Yeah, Layla always takes the words right out of my mouth. But I appreciate you as well. Like, you definitely broadened my horizon and definitely encouraged me, like I said. So I appreciate you. And now I gained a new follower.
Yay. Thank you, Ms. Alexandra.
And I know you're going to do great things, and I look forward to seeing what you do in the future. I know you're going to go far.
More so you gained a new follower, and probably many others, because a lot of people have been commenting and saying,
awesome.
Like, wow, this guy is amazing.
I'm humbled. Thank you.
Yeah, so we love you.
Thank you.
Head coaching guy is in the building on the Bougie Show. Say the DJ, Miss Layla Gray, Miss Paige Alexandra. We're in the building. Bougie Mix coming up next. You guys have anything to say before we get out of here? On your own tip, anything to be on the lookout for next week?
I think Miss Gray. Have a great week, everyone.
Have a great week, Miss Gray. You have a surprise for them next week, also.
Yes, yes. Next week I'm going to be premiering a new segment. I don't want to really say too much. It's going to be a surprise, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
That part. Bougie Mix coming up next. SkyHawk Radio, the Bougie Show. Yay!
Ladies and gentlemen, you